Okay, and welcome to this Sidmouth evaluation, our adventure in Sidmouth, 1998. We have a detailed diary. I've been looking at it and I'm sort of thinking, wow, there's loads of things in there that I couldn't even remember. There was also a version I made. I used to write Lira Link, and there was a version in here I made, and I wanted to compare it. How do we remember Sidmouth? Well, anyway, we're going to look into it right now and get into Sidmouth, 1998. So this is Sidmouth. Why I didn't take a video camera there. We'd already gone to Ireland. We made a nice video there. But you get a situation where people are saying, oh, you know what it is, you point a camera, oh, here he is again. I said, that's not the kind of film I want. That's not what I wanted to get. It's interesting really because Josephine and the group, I didn't go, but they went to Egypt in 1999. That was a year later. Josephine was filming continuously, and I didn't see anybody saying, oh, don't film this and don't do that and don't do this. She got a very good, I mean, well, the quality wasn't very good, but she actually got a really, really good video out there. You also need help. You need somebody else to share the burden of taking a video. So as I said, I'm on home territory, and I've got my detailed diary, the myth and the magic, the exaggerations, the lies, and all the rest of it. We will analyse everything. I'm going to do everything in chronological order, as if we're there, as if I'm making a video there. We have actually got some videos I have to show you. We've got some videos here. This is Sidmouth, some of the events we did. These are the actual originals, if you know what I'm saying, of the events that we went. For instance, Friday night at the arena. I can't believe how much I paid for these. £15 each. Old video cassettes. £15. They're making a fortune out there, these Sidmouth people. JKL video film, apparently they still do it. I've actually converted all these, and you'll see that on little DVD extra bits, if you know what I'm saying. Also, I'm going to see Lira very, very soon. I've already converted them a whole load of things. Let me just show you. Have a look at that. That's Lira's 30th anniversary edition. It's a 10 box. Have a look. It's a 10 box, and there's a whole assortment of things there, etc., etc. There's this one as well. It's another 10. Basically, I've converted everything that there is of Lira from VHS to DVD to preserve them a little bit longer. And I've also got, Josephine said that she gave her copy of the Lira Greek Dancers in Spain to Lula on the 30th anniversary, so I decided to make her another copy and a spare one if anyone should want it. But as we said, let's have a look at Sidmouth. And as I see, Lira Link used to be, the incredible bulk, as in Hulk. I thought it was quite an original idea. I thought it was quite good to do it that way. Then I said to Helen, I said, I can't really draw. That's my drawing. I actually drew the Hulk there. Helen, who was in the group as well, she came up with something like this. Have a look. Very nice. Very nice. But yeah, this was just a gimmick anyway. Anyway, so as I said, we've got a detailed diary. And we've got this. Now, what is the truth behind this? Let's have a look at. I wrote a book. We start with the Men in Black. Before I get into that, I just want to say, I said me and Michelle and some other people, we actually booked a place on the seafront in Sidmouth. You know, we were all happy. You know, we didn't want to sit on, we didn't want to be in crappy accommodations on some little mats on a floor somewhere. So me and Michelle, for instance, we organised and everything, and we had a place right on the beachfront. As soon as Mihaly found out about it, he goes, no, if you do that, you create a two-tier system, and it's really terrible. So in other words, if someone can't afford something, we have got to suffer it as well. I can understand what Mihaly was saying. You know, you create the fact of the matter, in life there's always a 2, 3 and 4 tier system, isn't there, really? You know, try going on an aeroplane, for instance. I mean, there's first class, there's business class, and there's, you know, you're in the back like sardine class. Do you know what I'm saying? But I can understand what Mihaly was saying, and I agree with him. So what happened in the end, you know, we're with everybody else, you know, you're on the floor, on these little mats, you know, slumming it with everybody else. But I do understand it. So we have the first story. The first story is about the Men in Black. Yeah, Well, I say actually in the Lira In story that these four guys were coming up, sort of muscling to Christo, who was a mechanic. Now we're going 5 days to Sidmouth, and these blokes come along. They've given Christo their BMW, and they actually said, because I saw the note, because I was waiting for Christos, and this girl came up who knew me and said, "I've got a note for Christo," and I read it, and it was, it was some harsh words there. So, "You've had my BMW for such a long time. Are you ever going to see it and finish it?" And so I said that to Chris. He goes, "Oh yeah, I haven't even looked at it yet." He hasn't even looked at it yet, and we're off to Sidmouth for 5 days. The thing that made me laugh about Chris the mechanic, is, for instance, there was a quick fit place across the road from where he worked, and he was saying, "Well, if you don't like what I do, go across the road and see them who turn up when they feel like it." The truth is he turns up when he feels like it. And there's another story where he fixed my gearbox and everything, and they were going to ask me for a lot of money. He says, "I'll do it for you for $7.50, for instance, at that time." So I said, yeah, great. He realised that was too cheap. But Christos is not one to do things by half. So, the next time I had some minor little fault on my car, he charged me 500 quid. Didn't show me any parts. I can remember him counting, and obviously I'm great, I've got that 500 quid, I've cheated him because he cheated me last time. And the thing is, I saved his life once. Only a few months earlier when we went to Ireland. He choked on his food and I gave him the Heinrich maneuver. You know what that is when you squeeze somebody. I saved his life, and he cheats me as well. Havasu and halalisu. But I know that Christos is still okay, because I've seen on Facebook, that only last year, that's 2016, he went to Lira to actually meet him. Looking a little bit older. Looking a little bit older, a little bit shabbier, but that's Christo for you. So the men in black coming to sort him out was absolutely true.
Before we move on, I've been asked if people would not lean on the fences surrounding the seated enclosure, because if you look behind you, you might see some people that can't see because you're leaning. So the steward behind you.
So comparing the detailed diary of Sidmouth to the one I wrote for Lira In. Apparently, I met Christos at Holloway Road, but all of us went to King's Cross. We used to do that all the time. You go and meet in King's Cross. Everyone meets down there. People want to go by car or go by minibus. Christos had the minibus, so I got in that, but Thegla wanted to go on the M4, M5. They were talking about it. I wasn't even bothered. I wasn't even interested. But they were not arguing, but they were discussing it. Apparently the M4, M5 was a little bit longer, but they didn't have, at that time, speed cameras. So Thegla wanted to go over 70. What for? What are you going to go over 70 miles an hour on it? 70, to me, 70 miles an hour is fast enough. Anyway, the plan was that they were going to follow the minibus. But then we have a little bit more detail before I go on with that. We have a little bit more detail that everyone was there and everything. And Christo actually told everybody, "We are not going to stop for services." And everyone was looking at each other. So, "Oh no, we've got to go and eat now." So we're waiting an extra 10, I'd forgotten all this. We're waiting an extra 10 or 15 minutes for everyone to go and eat somewhere. And I remember telling Pavlina this, and she just went, "Oh no." I think this is not the only "oh no" on this trip. In the end, old Christos stopped off for services and no one wanted anything to eat. I thought that was a good move. Another good move by my friend the mechanic, Christo. But anyway, with Thegla and everything, we got up to the Chiswick roundabout, and a double-decker bus got in front of, between her and the minibus. Her idea was to follow the minibus all the way down to Sidmouth. Anyway, we lost her. I remember Christo waiting for her and everything, but we lost her completely. When we finally got there, they were complaining and they had got there first. What was the problem? Did they get lost? They can't have. We got there in good time, and they're already there at the steps, listening. I mean, I had a headache and everything, you could just hear the Turkish. They were all outside, playing their drums, dum, 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 and Thegla and everybody in their car shouting at Christos, "You deliberately lost us. You deliberately lost us." Anyway, we got in really late to Sidmouth. We didn't exactly know the path to the place that we were staying, and then suddenly this girl came along, and she's wearing a Lira t-shirt, and she's really zany, you know. Yeah, Lira here, Lira. She's really excited, you know. God knows why. Came into the minibus and everything. No room, you know. There's no inhibitions at all. Just sits on my lap. I mean, I was the happiest guy in the world. Anyway, she directed us to the place. Yeah, when we got there, you know, it was a communal. There was a lot of groups there. A lot of groups staying there. We had communal showers. Everything was communal. I remember. I mean, it was like, for instance, if you wanted to, you know, all the groups had their separate accommodations, if you know what I'm saying. But if you wanted to have a shower or anything, you would have to walk out into the open and actually go into the showers. All the groups share the same showers, if you know what I'm saying. I remember one girl from another group walking along the pavement in a towel. I told Pavlina this, and she said, "Oh my God!" And she was looking at me as if to say, "How are we going to survive 5 days here?" But anyway, I'd like to just read you something, you know, because I remember when we went to South Petherton, and I was talking to Anne-Marie. I was so tired when we arrived there. I just wanted to go and sleep, and everyone went to went to a bar. So she was saying to me, Andrea, look, why don't you just go with the flow, do everything? This is not a time to be tired. I agreed with her. You know, I respected Anne-Marie. Everything she used to say, she used to give me some good advice and everything. When we got to Sidmouth, I was up for going around the town, looking at this and looking at that. Everyone wanted to go to sleep. And I'd just like to read you something that I put. This is The Myth and the Magic. I'd like to actually read this to you. Although it was late, I was so keen at least to see the sea and a bit of the village. Everyone else was tired, so I'd like to thank Thegla for the use of her car. I would have exploded if she hadn't let me use it. Thank you, Thegla. I owe you a favour, and I'm waiting for you to tell me what I can do for you. You know what I'd like to do to old Theggy? You know, I'd like to give her one at the, you know, on the backside. You know, she looked at. I asked for the car. I think it was a bit cheeky, you know, for me to sort of say to her, you know, can I borrow your car? I just wanted to borrow a car just to look around the village. She says no. And then Laura sort of looked at me and she laughed and everything, as if to say, "You haven't got much control over Thegla, have you?" I said, "Yeah, you probably got, Laura, more control over her." You know, but the funny thing is later on, Thegla read that and I overheard someone say, you know, Thegla couldn't even remember, you know, she actually said to everybody, "I don't even remember lending Andy my car." It's funny how you actually write something, and you can actually change history, and actually people actually sort of remember things in a different way. But I've got the detailed diary, so you know that cannot happen. So as the girls got there first, they chose their accommodation first. There was one room that had these bouncy, springy sort of beds. I mean, they were really springy, the kind of beds where you sort of get in, they're like hammocks, for instance. You sort of move one way, you know, all the springs make a noise. I don't know how anyone slept that night. But yeah, everyone vacated our room. Well, we chose the room next door because Christos and George were going to be in there. I can't understand why they vacated the room. But anyway, they went and looked for other accommodations elsewhere. And I can actually say that poor George can outdo Christo snoring. And I remember, I mean, when I say that he snores, he really snores. He puts Christo to shame. He actually put Christo to shame. So, you know, actually kept me and Christo up, and I could see that, you know, Christo hardly ever got any sleep. How I got any sleep that night, God only knows. But I can imagine all three of us snoring. We probably kept the girls up next door, if you know what I'm saying. You know, I'm sort of thinking, you know, we should have been the three musicians. You know, I'm sure, you know, we would have made a nice little trio there in the night time. So Nigo and Josephine are an item. You know, they got together and everything. Nice to have a bit of romance in Lira, isn't it? Anyway, at breakfast, I come down, I sit down at breakfast, and I leave space. I'm sitting next to Joseph. I leave space for Nigo to actually sit next to him. Now, this is the detail I found in the diary. I mean, I can't remember all this, but you know, I leave space and I look over. You know, I should always be careful because it's a bit touchy. And I saw Nigo talking to some other group members, you know, lady group members, and I said to Josephine, "Oh look, you know, he's chained up other birds here." And Josephine's giving me a look like this. When Nigo came over to the table, the place I left next to Josephine, he goes and sits somewhere else. I think romance definitely isn't dead, is it? Anyway, we went down for a practice the very next minute onto the tennis court, and they're all practicing Badima. It was a nice little dance, a little bit complicated to actually get the actual rhythm of it. And Chris Yarrow this is, he says to me, what are you doing sitting out this? And I said, I'm not in it. And Chris goes to me, Chris Yarrow, what do you mean you're not in it? And I look over to Lulla. I was going to say to Chris, you know, ask her. And Chris looked at me and said, that's no excuse. I said, well look, Sadiri's in it. Yeah, Sadiri actually was told off that he was off with the music. But I said to Chris, I said, look, at least you got Ben as a backup. You know, if anything goes wrong, you know, you can all rely on Ben, you know, as he does the badima. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that is, I said, even Chris was sort of wondering what's going on here. So then all of us went down for a sound check. You know, you do that for instance, just to make sure that everything's working, that you know, you don't get any surprises when you're actually doing your performance. Anyway, that took a bit of time, and I said to Chris, I said, would you like to come into the town? And, you know, we go around the town and everything, and Chris said, you know, yeah. And Josephine turned around and said, no, we've got an extra practice. Now, you're already in the town, you're on the waterfront, you know, nice Sidmouth beach and everything, and then, okay, we've got to practice. We go back all the way to where we're staying, and then suddenly, oh, don't worry, there's no practice. And I just lost it. I just went berserk. And Stella, that's the niece of Lulla, sort of said, what's going on? I never actually told her, but I was really annoyed. But it's funny when you read a detailed diary. That's not the way I remember it officially. I remember officially that we went to a restaurant and everything, and there was a nice beach front where you could walk along the promenade. But we went to the restaurant, and then we were told that we had to go back for a practice, and we missed the sunny day. Now, I remembered it that way. It's amazing when you actually see the diary that it was not that way at all. You know, and I can say that a lot of times if you sort of, you know, you might be angry with somebody that someone's done something, you know, and a lot of times I sort of look at the diary and I sort of say, that person hasn't done that, you know. You can actually sometimes distort the past and sort of come out with something totally different. Anyway. So then me, Pavlina, Thegla, Sheila, Phil and Laura actually walk through a park, and apparently we even walked onto a footbridge over a river. This is something I don't really remember. This is all the detail in the diary. I was sort of saying to Thegla at this time, I said, you know, I didn't expect the accommodation to be like this. And she turns to me and said, no, I expected the accommodation to be exactly like this, i.e. a load of crap. You know, I thought that was quite funny. Anyway, in the end, we left half the group there, and in the end it was just me, Thegla, Pavlina and Vasily, who Pavlina wanted to try some scones. Now this is where, you know, when you're in total control, when you're writing an article for Lira Link, you can actually change history. Let me read to you what I wrote about our trip to the little restaurant where we had tea and scones. So I told Pavlina, you know, if you want to eat scones, it's scones, not scones. She was saying scones all the time. But the point is I made out that they ate like pigs. So I said, I've never even eaten scones in my life. I did not know what they were. In the end, it was just us three eating. Thegla just wanted an ice cream, and she sat on the promenade. Beautiful, beautiful day, and I regret it to this day that there wasn't another nice sunny day where you could actually walk along the beach. That's all I remember, you know. But she had her ice cream on the promenade. Beautiful day, if you can imagine, beautiful beach setting. While us three are eating scones in this little coffee shop. And we're eating away. When Thekla came back, she looked at me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm eating my scones." I said, "You've made it into a sandwich. You know, this is all the detail that comes out here. You made it into a sandwich, and I'm putting my spoon into it, this and that. I didn't know what I was doing. Half of it was left on the table, but, you know, I couldn't eat it at all. I'd actually had forgotten all that completely. So, in the end, putting the record straight, yes, it looks like Pavlina did actually have the scones, and I was eating scones. And then guess what, you know, we're in the restaurant and we suddenly look behind us in the corner, and who is it? It's Lula, Mihaly, you know, and George. You know, you know, you go into town, you know, get away from it a little bit. You just can't get away from them wherever you go. Okay, so beautiful day on the promenade, and we all get into this double-decker bus. That's all the groups. I don't remember this at all. Apparently, I'm the only one left standing. Everyone's got a nice seat. But we get to the promenade in this double-decker bus, and we all come off, and apparently, you know, we were at the back, and then they put us at the front, and then I didn't know where we were going to go in the end, but we were quite near the front. So we started dancing on the promenade. If we moved forward, let's say 50 yards, we moved forward, we used to dance this Mustabago dance. And it was just a way of getting us forward. And then every 50 yards we would do a little performance. And then the Estonians who were behind us, they would do their little performance. It was funny when I used to turn, I mean, they were professional. The Estonians were professional in every sense of the word. I just remember their smiles on their faces and everything. You know, it was like they had a coat hanger, you know, and you know. So you sort of thought, I wonder if they're really this happy, you know, dancing these energetic dances behind us. Anyway, we carried on, and as we moved forward and everything, we came up onto the Sidmouth stage. We moved forward, dancing to this jazz music. And all the people there, you know, you've got the Estonians. You've got the Turkish group. The American group. The Bulgarian group. And I'm sure the group that I can't even think of group was there too. But we all carry on, we all move across the stage, and we're all part of it, and everything is well and good. So exhausting stuff. We danced along the promenade and everything. You know, I used to give little waves. You know, we used to do these parades everywhere we used to go. You know, used to wave to the crowd. You know, Christos the mechanic used to say, you're not the queen. I'm going to wave. I'm going to wave with the little children and everything. So I'm the celebrity. You know, you're acting like a celebrity. Have a look at Ben. Have a look at Ben. How he comes across the stage to jazz music. You can see me just giving a little wave, but let's give it a little jazz twirl, by Ben here. Let's really stand out. Show what Greek dancing is all about. So we come on stage and we're one of the first groups to dance. We dance Bousarigos. And the musicians mess up, they wouldn't stop doing the Bousarigos, so how long are we going to do this dance? And then they messed up another dance as well, and I sort of thinking, I said, we're in Sidmouth now, this is such a prestigious place, everyone wants to dance at Sidmouth, it's not easy to actually get to dance there. I remember we told some people, oh, well, we're dancing at Sidmouth, and they said, oh, well, you must be good then. This is what I'm saying, you've got to be a little bit tight. We look a little bit loose. You have a look at all the other dance groups. Let's go through all the other dance groups. This is the Turkish group. This is the American group. And this is the Bulgarians. They all look together. The Puerto Ricans, they all look together. They all look like, I know I shouldn't say it and everything, but I just felt that, we weren't the Lira that we could have been at Sidmouth. But anyway, that's the end of the first part. I will leave it just here so you can actually see the first performance. That's the one that we do on stage. I will leave it there and I will see you again later on in this video.
I've been asked to say if any of you would like a memento tonight of tonight's performance, either still photographs or videos, JKL Video have a stall to your left, and they are available there. You can take home something of tonight. Following on from the Jambalaya, there's a wonderful performance in the arena, in the market square last night. Would you have guests, please, from Bulgaria? And next, from England, dancing the dances from Appalachia, roughshod. And from Greece, he dances the Lira dancers. Will you welcome him, please? company Yatran. From Turkey, Drumu from Turkey. From the United States of America, the Half Moon Dancers. And finally, to bring up this initial procession, Puerto Rico, all the way from Puerto Rico, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, right, to begin the dancing, we have the Greek dancers Lira. They are doing dances from Greece, although they are in fact based in London, Palmer's Green in fact. They won, oh, a few people from Palmer's Green over here. They've won many, many prizes over the years for their dancing, and it's their first time at Sidmouth. And even better, they have decided that they don't want me boring you talking about the dancers, so they're going to do it themselves. Would you welcome please the group leader, Lula.
It's not really true that we didn't want him to do the announcements. We know his English is much better than mine, and he's such a nice man. But nevertheless, it is our habit and custom to introduce ourselves and our dances, because the names of the dances sometimes are a bit difficult for people to pronounce, and we deal with that better. The mistakes in the English, I think you can excuse them. Just very briefly, the name of the group Lira, it was chosen originally to represent, first of all, the two types of lira, the instrument, which exist in the Greek world, from the Black Sea in the form of kemeges down to the Cretan lira, as well as with a connection with the ancient Greek lira, which Apollo used to play. So we thought we sort of bridge the ancient world with the modern world, and also the breadth of the Greek world. Our program tonight is island dances. Each of our programs will be different from different areas of Greece, but tonight we are going around the Aegean, more or less. We'll start with a dance from Patmos called Koursairikos. These are Koursari, the people like pirates in the sea, and the dance is very, very simple, but it's the men and then they claim their women and they dance with them and they live happily ever after. After that, we go to two dances from Limnos, an island further north in the Aegean, Patima, because of the step, which I think it will become obvious. Patima means to step. And then a lady's charming dance called Elenitsa, simply charming little Helen. And from that we go south towards Megara, where we have a peculiar dance for men called Luluvikos. And we're going to finish with one of the southern islands of Greece, except Crete, and that is Kythira. It's situated between Peloponnese and Crete. That's why it's called Chirigotiko, a dance which is meant to be fun, and it danced in couples, And the name of the capital of the island is Tsirigo. So the dance is from the islands of Greece. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Lira dancers. And not forgetting their musicians.
So that was our first performance at Sidmouth. Yeah, one of the first dancers on. And I found this as hanging on the wall at our house. This was the first digital picture, well, probably not the very first digital picture ever made, but yeah, you know, we used to have the old, you know, you take your photograph, you get your negatives, you know, you take them to the processors, you wait 2 weeks or whatever to get it back. This was actually the first digital picture, and Dave made these, that was the husband of Aligi. She made this for the competition, when I say competition, the lottery at Christmas. And I remember thinking, you know, I've got to win this lottery, I've got to win this lottery. And in the end I finally got the lottery and I won, and I went up to try and claim this, and someone was just about to get us. No, that's mine. Nice enough for that person, which was Giriago, that's Stella's boyfriend, to actually give this to me. But that is the first digital picture of Sidmouth, and if you have a look closely, it's actually faded a little bit green. Obviously they've sorted out that in the future, so that doesn't happen to digital photography. So the first dance we danced, well, one dance was called Batima. Josephine and Chris had gone to Greece on their own. They didn't want the Lira Greek dance. That's another story which I will talk about another time. But they had learned this in Greece by somebody. We're doing it here, and the group are doing this particularly well, considering I am not in it. Yeah, and you can see, I mean, very prestigious place, Sidmouth and everything. I mean, there's some groups, you know, they come from all over the world. Most of the groups, I mean, the professional groups, you can tell that they actually are being paid. You know, they're not coming, you know, for their galosini, if you know what I'm saying. And, you know, if you say, you know, if you're a group, for instance, you say you've danced at Sidmouth, very good for your CV, but I don't know how we got there. It's just we were a little bit lax. So have a look how we're dancing. The musicians aren't helping, you know, in the dances, you know, in Busarigo, for instance. Have a look. Yeah, in Busarigo, they don't stop the music. The musicians mess up. I don't understand what was the problem. And then on another dance, when we're supposed to go down in Luluvigos, they don't stop playing. So they didn't help. We looked a little bit ragged. We didn't look sleek in Sidmouth. But having said that, we can say that we danced in Sidmouth. So, you know, great little bonus, great little brownie points for our CV. So then we had to go to a remote part of town to dance in a place called the Bode Marquee. Up this steep hill, really muddy it was. We had the 3 minibuses with us, and Ben was driving one of the minibuses. He brought the minibus from his work. I don't know, you know, sort of when he arrived, it was like, Ben, did you bring the minibus? Yeah, hello, and no, Ben, did you bring the minibus? Yes, we brought the minibus. Yes, they were really worried about that. If Ben didn't come, they wouldn't have had a minibus. And of course they wouldn't have men dancing with the Lira dancers, which, you know, would have been a great loss. But anyway, we go up, the dance floor is so slippery. Managed to get through the performance. I remember Vasilis looking back at Lula saying, how am I supposed to dance on this floor? Well, once I said that to John, you know, when we danced at Michael Sobel's sports arena, the floor was like ice, and John actually turned around to me and said, we're not looking for excuses, Andrea. You know, it's not an excuse. It's a slippery floor. You can't dance.
But anyway, we did quite a good performance up there, and then we're on our way back. Now remember, we're up this top hill, and the 3 minibuses are going down this steep, muddy hill. Lula comes up to Christos, in his van, and says, "Look, you be careful, because if anything happens, you're in trouble." And she left, and I said, "Well, you're going to be in trouble, Christos, aren't you?" And he goes, "Well, what kind of trouble? I'm insured." Anyway, Ben was first, the minibus Crystal was second, and Lula's minibus was third. And I remember being with Josephine up front, and and Ben was going so slowly. And Chris Yero at the back was going, "You should kick this geezer, you should boot this Ben up the arse." But he was going so slowly, and Lula, who'd actually said, "Be careful, Christos," was actually flashing as if to say, "Okay, I didn't mean, 0.2 miles an hour." But it just so happened that at the bottom, Ben actually really skidded at that speed. And I'm saying that if Ben hadn't, we would have skidded off the off the top of the hill, and old Christos would have had to produce his insurance. But yeah, and as we were going down, I remember Josephine saying, then in heroes. I remember we were giving commentary, me and Josephine at the front, then in heroes. Or Benny's. But those are magic moments that I found the details with my extensive notes.
Would you welcome from the Ukraine, Yatran?
So with the detail of the detailed notes that I used to write at that time, it's amazing all the little anecdotes and little details that you find. What we did is all of us split off. And well, those that wanted to go with Benny's minibus went with him. We went to another place. We parked, and I just saw Thegla running. Where was she running to? It turned out that the fish and chip shop was just about to close. It's getting night time. It's getting night time in Sidmouth now, and we go into this fish shop. Really filthiest fish shop you're ever likely to see. But we're starving. We're hungry. We order all these bags of chips, whatever, and Thegla thinks that the guy's Greek, so she turns to him and says, "Are you Greek?" And he turns around and starts speaking in French. And then a few minutes later, he started counting all the bags, and veal. Thegla really confused. But I can tell you something about Sidmouth, and I would imagine this is all the places which I noticed. You go to Margate, you go to Littlehampton, you go to all these other seaside resorts in England at the moment. They all look lovely if they're, if it's nice and sunny, on the seafront and everything. All, you buy your ice cream, you this. As soon as it gets dark, I felt that, I felt totally unsafe. I thought I was in Brixton. It was filthy, the streets and this. It just suddenly became a totally different place. And I look at the notes and everything, and apparently Chris thinks that he sees the North Star. Yeah, that's the North Star. He says, well, we're on the south coast, Chris. But all well and good. The chips went down nicely. We didn't get ill or anything. And yeah, all well and good. So the next morning, Josephine says, "Get ready out there. We're going down for a practice." And I went and told the girls, and Thegla says to me, "We are going to take our time. We are going to shower, and we're going to do." I thought it was quite good. Like me, for instance, I always toe the party line. Someone tells me get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I sort of think, oh well, 7 o'clock you get up, you practice, you do your stuff. Anytime you get to enjoy the actual festivities is always a bonus. But Ishem Berazmena, like Thegla was always on the committee, so she would know the kind of things that would go on there. Apparently, it was all secretive that everyone would sleep on these little camp beds. Lula was the kind of person that, in the committee who said, we don't have to tell everybody, we don't have to make it known that everyone's going to sleep on these little mattresses that are 2 inches high off the floor. But Thegla got wind of it and actually went up to Josephine in the group and said, I'm not sleeping on those 2 inches mattresses, I got my back and this and that. But it was wangled, apparently the bouncy, you know, those bouncy sort of mattresses were arranged for them, and all the girls were jumping up and down, you know, giggling and everything like schoolgirls. You know, they were actually next door from where we were sleeping. But yeah, they, you know, they was, no, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I thought, you know, I sort of looked up to her for that. And we go down and we practice in this this playground and everything. And Ben, the token English guy, always Lula's favourite golden boy, you know, starts looking for his mask and says, "Oh, it's not here." And tells you know, Lula, the masks aren't here. You know, the masks were right in front of him. Obviously, you know, Lula got a bit stressed. I said, "For God's sake!" And he starts shouting, "You know, if you can't find something, look for God's sake." And I'm sort of looking. I said, "Oh, I've never seen him actually argue about to Ben at all." You know, he says that anything that Ben did at that time, you know, it was like, you know, he couldn't do a thing wrong. But, you know, I was actually surprised that he actually got a telling off. And apparently on this performance, we kept on practicing the bulla, and we kept on practicing and mistake after mistake. Lula getting upset and everything, and I looked in the notes, and she actually says at the end, you know, to Nigo and people like that, Sodiris, he couldn't really get it properly. It's as if you're in a rush to take off the mask. You know, in other words, you know, it's as if you're in a rush to finish this dance, and you know, she was really upset about it.
Come on guys, quickly finish this dance so we can take off the masks. And then we can go for some crumpets.
Yeah, it's amazing the details that you find in these old notes. I mean, there's something. Actually, there's some things that I've forgotten completely. Apparently, we're in these old buses, 1950s bus. All the groups and everything would go into the bus and go to certain places. I don't remember that at all. There's one point where I was actually the only one standing. But the point is we're in the bus, and at the back, Thegla is, you know, in a mixture of all the Turkish, you know, the Turkish group. And someone asked us to Thegla, "Where are you from?" And so she says Cyprus. You know, we've never heard of Cyprus, you know, or they didn't want to acknowledge what Cyprus was. Yeah, quite friendly people. They were giving these eye, you know, you have a necklace and there was this little eye on it. And Chris Yero was saying to me, I said, "What are you accepting these gifts from these Turks for?" I said, "Look, we're in a festival. We're all supposed to get on, you know. We're all supposed to mingle and everything, and get on together. You know, what was the problem? I can understand where he was coming from, but yeah, talking about mingling. Have a look at this. Yeah, we mingled with these girls from these other groups, and one girl was really excited. You know, so, "Oh yeah, look, I've got two men. I said, "Well, I look at it this way. I said, you know, we've got two women." You know what I'm saying? And she was really over friendly, one of the girls and everything, you know. And I sort of, you know, so I'd ask her, you know, where are you staying in town? And it turns out she was, you know, almost out of Sidmouth. But yeah, you know, sort of opportunities and this and that. But she wasn't too unhappy with my hand on her bottom for most of the duration before we went to dance. So we changed into fustanella, which we would be in all day. Apparently one of the girls' skirts went missing, and Josephine was in a little bit of a rut. You know, so where's this missing skirt? Has any of you girls seen this missing skirt? It came out louder. This skirt, we brought 8 skirts. You know, all the costumes were in 8. There was 8 of everything. You know, and apparently only 7. One had gone missing. Apparently it turned out that one of the girls had put 2 dresses on by mistake. Pavlina was listening to this. It was Vasiliki. I mean, she was a sweet little girl, you know, the young innocent little girl, you know. So I didn't know, and Pavlina just burst out laughing. I thought it was pretty funny as well. I even wrote a little article in Lira Link about it. I didn't actually mention Vasiliki by name. I mentioned it here, but I just put a little joke. I said, is it possible that I could be wearing 2 fustanellas at the same time, because I felt a bulge? And I looked underneath and I said in the magazine, "No, it's all me." And apparently in the committee, you know, they didn't like that joke. They thought it was a bit, you know, a bit rude and everything. You know, Josephine came up to me and said, you know, Pavlina thought that, you know, you had an erection or something. No, I didn't. I just want to tell Mihani, no, I didn't. I said that bulge was just all me naturally. You know, let alone the other part. So I just wanted to make that clear. You know, it's just, you know. You know, a lot of misconceptions with my little article in Lira Link, but that was the case. Okay, so now we'll see the performance that we actually did on stage. Nico making the same mistakes in practice, always blaming somebody else. Lolo used to say, you know, whenever anything used to go wrong, you know, Nikos used to blame somebody else. Yeah, the same mistakes and everything, and yeah, you'll see at one point when we do Antichristi, for instance, you know, you're spinning the mandili, and I got my Antichristi mandili locked into Thegla's headgear. I wasn't going to let go of it, you know, I yanked it, you know, so yeah, I thought I might end up with the big headgear that the ladies wear in my hand, you know, spinning it around, you know, the warrior headgear. But that didn't happen, unfortunately. I thought that would have been quite funny if it had.
To conclude the first half, we will have the Lira Greek dancers. As you may know, they are from the Greek community in London, a long-established community in London, which I have benefited from through their wonderful restaurants. Many a late-night dolmades there, I can tell you. To explain their dances for this afternoon's programme, would you welcome their leader, Lula?
Thank you. Tonight's program is a bit unusual because it is not simply dancing. Our first three dances is part of a folk ritual which happens once a year up at the north part of Greece in a town called Nausa and has very old links with mythology. It's called Boules. Boule is the bride and it's in reality Persephone. And then you have the men who you will see coming out wearing masks. And they are the months of the year. And it is the time for Persephone to come back to earth to bring the nature back to life. That's why the movements that you will see and the hitting with the swords on the ground. So it's a very, very old dance. It has a long history and it takes a full week where the whole town is in the streets doing particularly that thing. And then we are going to conclude with the dance of Kira Maria, the only really warrior dance for women that we have in Greece. And their headgear indicates exactly that connection. And as a finale, simple Antichristi dances from Macedonia. Thank you.
the Lira Greek dancers and their musicians.
So we went to dance in another marquee on the same, well, almost the same moment as soon as we came off that one. I played that one in a minute. We went there, the Welsh dancers were on first, and you see George and Dirk, they talk about their instruments.
In fact, there are several varieties of bagpiping in Greece. This is the northern mainland Balkan bagpipe, which is called the gaida.
And when Lula comes out, she shows the fustanella how it's all made up of triangles. And I remember that she wanted those pressed once, and I went up to Savas in the factory, you know, the guy that used to work with me and everything. I said, how much do you want to press the fustanella for the group? And he said, oh, I'll do it for nothing. I said, there's 300 triangles, you know, there's no doing it for nothing. And, you know, I don't know what they did, but we never got Savas to actually press them. But that's what they are, the triangles there. Looks like a little, have a look, looks like a little dog, doesn't it? You know, sit, and it obeys itself. You know, the fustanella has a mind of its own.
Depending on how high in the mountains or on the plains.
And in this performance, I'm dancing with Vasily Guy. Yeah, real mummy's girls. Who already told you that she had two dresses on, you know, by mistake. You know, these are partners that you don't really want to partner. You know, I told you once before that Ezzy is the favourite partner. She'll smile at you. You know, that's what you want to give to the audience. You want to give to the audience the appearance that you actually at least like each other, you know, as a partner. Vasily Guy, she's all got her nose, have a look, got her nose up in the air, you know, and everything. Didn't do my figura particularly well. I mean, I did it well, but if you have a look. Yeah, it's not exactly with the music. It's not exactly as slick as I can do it.
So let's now see our performance in the marquee.
apart. You see? That's one piece. That is another piece. The flowers are just decoration. This is another one. This is a completely different one. I'll be unkind. This is another, and we have that one as well. So that's how you start building it, obviously the other way around. It was going to take too long to do it, so now you can take it off. I'll relieve you of that. And you can see it's all made out of combining and tying together different pieces rather than a hat which you wear. It takes about half an hour to put it on. And it's very unfortunate.
And there you go. After this performance, we went outside and I saw Lula and Josephine talking to someone. It was actually an ex-dancer called Eileen, I think. I'm not so sure if it's Eileen or Irene. But yeah, an ex-Lira dancer from a few years ago, before my time. She actually said that our performance was good.
Yes, you have to be quick. Don't...
Right, quick. Shall we finish with everything? Everybody up there dancing?
So Dirk and Anna, they decided to have a party with all the members of all the groups. You know, the Turkish, the Americans, the Bulgarians, the Estonians, and the Puerto Ricans as well. You know, let's all have a big party. So obviously she had to make a poster that would be a universal language to all. We were laughing at the things that she was coming out with. I said, what the hell's that going to mean? Anyway, we all looked for a place to eat. We all split up actually. All the youngsters, you know, all the youngsters wanted to go to a club. If you don't know what that is, you know, a little bit older, it was a disco. A disco. If you're a little bit older, it could be called a discotheque. And if you're even older than that, you know, everyone went to a go-go. To be honest, I don't know where everyone went, but I remember Chris saying to me, "Why are you going with the oldies?" You know, he thought I was a young boy like him. You know, so I may look young at that time maybe, but you know, he said, "Why are you going with the oldies to a restaurant?" Anyway, it was Christos, me, Sodiris, Pavlina, Thegler, and everything. We all looked for this restaurant, and I said, "Well, why don't we go to the place that we ordered the scones?" Pavlina said to me, "Oh well, you know, they probably only do coffees and things like that." I said, "No, I saw a proper menu." Anyway, in the end, I mean, we looked all over the place for a place. We even asked the policeman, do you know a good place to eat? Eventually, we did actually go back to that restaurant, and we're sitting there, and we're ordering, and me and a few people had a starter, you know. Old Thegler, you know, just orders ketchup, you know, splash it all over sort of thing. And Lula starts giving us a little rundown, a little insight into the runnings of the Lira Greek dancing group. So she mentioned that she saw Eileen, you know, an old member of Lira. She used to lead the group and everything. And she actually said, as I said before, that that she thought our dancing was good. She apparently admitted that she left because someone replaced her. You know, so she wasn't chosen for an I Stedford. You know, she was leading the group in, for instance, I Stedford '93. In I Stedford '94, new people came and replaced her. This is the kind of thing that happens with the Lira Greek dancers. So suddenly, you're number one week. You're not even number 2 next week. You're probably more like 102. But anyway, then she starts to say how she chooses people for the group, and she said, "I always think about the future." You think about the future. I said, "Look," I said, "What do you think about the future? This is the last dance of the year. What are you thinking? Are you thinking about next year? Are you thinking about next year's performance? In Germany or in Egypt? In a few years' time. So what are you thinking about the future for?" And I talked to Chris, and I told him afterwards. I said, "Lula sort of chooses people, because she thinks about the future." I said, "Oh, she's experimenting, in other words." And Chris turns around to me and says, "What's she experimenting now for?" But that was pretty funny. And then she starts saying, "No one should think that they're more important than the group." I can understand that, He says no one should think that they're a prima donna, It says, and no one should think that they're really important in the group. That will become an issue a little bit later on in this Sidmouth expedition, and I will talk about that comment that is actually a laugh, really.
Why it has silk and brocade? Because the people who travel and bring back fabric silk.
And then the funniest thing is, she talks about that some people come from Ligion. Ligion was another dance group. Ligion was actually a group that Lula Mihaly were in at the beginning, and they left. I don't know if they left or were chucked out, but there was always a rivalry between Ligion and Lira. And she was saying that if anyone comes from Ligion, for instance, they will have to go through the process. They have to go through the beginners. They have to be tested before they come into the dances. Mihaly's actually turned around and said, yeah, but if it's the other way around, he says, we don't expect to go through a beginner's process. We'd expect to go straight in. Because Mihaly actually explained to everybody that he has certificates. In those days, the CV was just coming in, that was actually a new thing at that time. What he's trying to say is I've got a CV. I've danced at I Stedford, and I've danced here, and I've danced there. I've got a certificate. He said certificates. And probably not turn around and say, "My dear certificates, there she's there. My dear certificates." So I had a medium rare steak, and everybody else had theirs. Well done, which I had a look. It was all burnt to a crisp. But I had a look at Thegla, you couldn't even see her steak. It was completely covered in ketchup. So it's night time, we're on the seafront, and Mihalis, you know, he's dragging his feet and he's saying, oh, this is crap, and oh, this seafront is crap. And I say, well, what's the matter with you? And then he starts to say that Josephine and Nigo, you know, sort of decided to go for a swim. And I'm sort of thinking, it's night time and it's freezing cold. What's all this going for a swim? And then Mihalis said, well, they're not going for a swim out there, they're going for a good shag. And I said, well, what's going on? And then Lula turned around and started shouting. It says, well, what do you expect me to say? What do you expect me to say, Mihaly? That they're not having a shag? And I'm sort of thinking, you know, I says, in Dazila, you know, he's dragging his feet and everything, you know, he's not getting any. Poor Mihaly's not getting any. And he has to complain that other people are having a good time. So anyway, we go into the van and everything, and Lula tells us this story that Dirk and Anna were talking to some Turkish people, the Turkish group, and they said, oh yes, well, we know some people who'd like to stay with an English family, a typical English family and everything, and slowly it wangled that they wanted to stay with them, and Dirk and Anna had to sort of vacate themselves from that situation. And as Lula's telling us this story, Thegla turns around and says, Andrea, we've given your address. You know, they're going to come and stay with you. And I turned around and I said, they actually want to stay with a typical Cockney family, I said to her. And I said, when you put all that ketchup all over your steak, that was Cockney. She shut up, and Lula and everybody, they were in fits. So it says here in the notes that, Giria Thegla was woken up early, you know, she got upset about it. I said, woken up early, what is this, is this a holiday or anything like that? Anyway, we go to practice, and we practice a Bendozali. And everyone complains, there's half an hour to start Bendozali on the right note. In the end, people are arguing, so why not start it from the middle, why not start it from the end, People got so upset about it, Lula said to Chris Yerry said, you're definitely in this dance. He says, no, I'm not, I'm opting out of this dance. But the notes tell me that I'm still in the dance, so, I don't care if Bendozali starts at the wrong notes, do I? So me and Pavlina had to go and sit somewhere else on our dinner. There was no places to sit, with our group, for instance. So we sat on another table with other people. We got chatting to one of the organisers, an older woman. Been there 5 years. Now I talked to Pavlina. I told you that she couldn't stand that place for 5 minutes, let alone 5 years. And it turns out this lady was a little bit. A little bit loopy. Here's what I said about it in my Lira novel. I'm not too sure exactly what she said. Obviously I made that up, but she was coming out with some really weird stuff, and Pavlina gave me a look as if to say, she just left me there. She left me there on my own with this woman, and I sort of got up. I didn't know how to leave. I didn't know how to leave. In the magazine I said I did my Homer Simpson, I think I should be over there now. But I can understand organising that event and being there for 5 years would make you completely crazy. So we waited to do this performance on grass. As we're waiting there and everything, and someone comes up to me, someone with a big bucket, big money bucket, saying, do you speak English? And I said, well, I try to speak English, Obviously he goes around to all the groups, Turkish group, and there's some people who don't speak English. Anyway, he starts talking to me, and he's collecting money for underprivileged children and everything. And I'm talking, and I hear rumblings around the group. whisperings. I'm talking to him, and I'm listening to the rumblings. I said, Lula's upset. Lula's really upset. She's not talking to anybody. I said, oh, what's going on? What's going on? Anyway, I'm talking nicely to this guy. I said, obviously, I'm in the Fustanella, and I said to him, well, I don't have any money on me, but blah blah blah. Anyway, when the guy goes, Nigos comes up and says to me, Lula is upset because she wasn't invited into one of these photographs. So I was saying, what photo? You know, and it was the first time I actually said to myself, I'm really glad. I am glad I'm not involved in this. They can have their rumblings and they can have their arguments and they can have all this and all that. I was actually so pleased that I wasn't in the photo. But the point is that Adrian, her boyfriend, used to take all the photographs, and you know, she had all the negatives, and I used to borrow her negatives so that I could go and print my own photographs. Believe it or not, I looked at the negatives, and guess what? I worked it out that I was in that photograph. So I can't even remember actually how that photograph came about. But you know, it started off, Adrian took a photograph with 6 people, and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And Lula, George and everyone was sitting there, and she wasn't asked in. And she was asked, Josephine said, well, we didn't even ask George to come in the photograph. And Lula turns around and said, aren't I more important than George? George the musician. And I was sort of thinking, do you remember back to that restaurant a couple of nights ago when we were talking about the group and everything, and she was saying no one is important in the group. You know, obviously she's implying that she's important. You know, I would have gone along with that. I would have gone along. Obviously, you need your leader. You need your dance teacher. You know, if your dance teacher goes missing, obviously you're important because there'll be no group. But the reality is Lula left in 2007. The group has continued, so Lula, you are not as important as you think you are. You know, your ego, you know, because you weren't in a photo, and she couldn't understand. And she was saying in the restaurant how people shouldn't get upset if they get excluded, because Eileen or Irene or whatever her name is, who was the leader of the group, she was excluded from Eisteddfod and she actually left. You know, maybe there's a little bit of understanding. And before we move on this subject, I've got something to show you here. And this is the framed photograph that we're actually talking about. Yeah. Have a look. Can you see it there? Okay, so this is the photo that we're actually talking about. And actually, to be honest, I'm actually so pleased that Lula isn't in it, because it enhances this photograph. Okay, and I'll go and show you exactly where this photograph sits outside. But yeah, I framed it. I said I particularly framed it, you know, because Lula wasn't in it. Now, I'm only joking. I said it wouldn't have made any difference if Lula was in it or not, but I'm just saying that I'm actually happy that she's not in it, because she's not really that important.
And that's where the photo sits, lovely in the hallway.
Okay, so I go up to Ben. Ben collects money for the party, the big party that we're going to have with all the groups. You know, the Bulgarians, the Estonians, God knows who else, the Turkish, the Puerto Ricans, and the Americans. I collect the money, and I just told Ben, I said, I can't understand. One girl isn't talking to me in the group. I just said to her that, you know, I might sort of stray into the girls' showers, you know, while they're having a shower, and just say, oops, you know, it's a mistake, or you know, and she's suddenly not talking to me. And then I said, well, can you imagine if I go in there with a video camera as well? She turns around and says, yeah, what a mistake. So I'm talking to Ben about this, and he seriously turns around to me and says, yeah, I'm going to go in. I'm going to go in there into the girls' showers. And I thought, what are you talking about? He said, I realised now that he meant that he was going to shower with the girls. Each to their own. Everyone should stay with their own kind.
Frank Spencer Jr. Hello, I'm here.
So we come back to our dormitory where we're supposed to sleep. It's pitch black. I mean, there's no lighting anywhere, no little lampposts where there's lights or any lights on the wall. Actually, totally pitch black. And these worms that come out of the ground and everything, they were glow worms. I mean, you could only see the path through these glow worms. And all the girls behind me, they were hand on my shoulder, you know, as I was directing them through this path to try and avoid all these glowworms. They were absolutely scared stiff. You know, we were like the three blind mice, you know, trying to get through this minefield of glowworms. So we finished all our performances for the day, and I talked to Nigo, and she said, why don't you go and have a look at the photographs? All the photographs they've done of the events and everything. And I said, well, one girl looks like Goofy, a cross between Goofy and Donald Duck. And Nigo made this face. You know, we all started laughing. I said, who's this? This is the girl that, you know, came out badly. Not very photogenic, this girl. But we were all in fits of laughter when Nigo actually made this impression of this girl's face. We also looked at the other photographs and everything, and I had a look, and I said, you know, obviously some of the photographers, the professional photographers at this event, were taking photographs a little bit low. And one girl's skirt came up, and we were hoping, well, not hoping, but it looked like she was wearing no knickers at all. Maybe just a G-string, but if you have a look, you know, we were looking really carefully at this photograph that no one collected. Couldn't understand that, you know, so no one collected, no one recognised her bottom. But we were looking really closely. I remember everyone says, no, I don't think that she is wearing a G-string. But I thought that was really funny. Actually, looking back at it, I should have actually bought that photo. So this is the thing about Lira, you know, if I make a suggestion or anything, you know, it's a suggestion that actually will help the group. Otherwise, you know, it's like asking for a favour or anything. If I want something or if I want to change something, I wouldn't waste my breath unless it was important. It was a Greek Cypriot dance, and the thing is with the Greek Cypriot, what they don't realise, Lula doesn't really, because she's from Greece, is the Greek Cypriot dances, when the men dance, it's face to face. But no, let's make an organisation of it. So, for instance, you have two people here. Make a diamond. I'll explain this again. In other words, for instance, what it should be is Greek Cypriot, men, face to face each other. They do their figuras opposite each other, turn, you know, swap positions, whatever. But what Lula decided was, let's have everyone in a diamond. So in other words, for instance, I'm dancing with my back to the leader. Now, at Arthritis Care, Ben was dancing with his back to the leader. Now, with this kind of dance, it's not the kind of dance where you say an oba and a figura. The whole dance is a complete sequence. You know, it's not like do a few planes and then wait for everyone to catch up and then do it and then call out a figura, you know, an oba, and you do a figura. It wasn't like that. So, in other words, when we were at Arthritis Care, Ben had his back to it, and then when he went down and the leader didn't go down, he looked like a right prat. So he said to me from Arthritis Care, he said, Andrea, I'm dancing on that side. In other words, he's dancing to face the leader so he can actually follow him, so he doesn't balls up again. But I insisted that we shouldn't do it that way. And what happened? Chris Yarrow, who's leading that dance, he messes up. Now I'm a little bit clever, for instance, because I don't go down. If I do a figure, I don't go down unless I see everybody else going down. So I'm a fraction of a second late, but at least you don't want to be early and you go down and it just looks totally stupid. And then Ben tells me, because I can't see the leader, he's behind me, Ben tells me he hasn't gone down, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what's gonna? And I'm following Ben. Oh, now we're going down, and it was a total balls up. You know, it was a place called the Council Chambers. It was one of our last events that we did. Chris Yarrow, he got so upset. He was almost in tears about it. And Lula had to pat him on the head. He said, look, you're still the best dancer in the group. I said, look, it wasn't Chris Yarrow's fault. It was your fault because you couldn't see the danger in that particular dance. Oh, and by the way, as I said, Nigo, who blamed everybody else, Lula just dropped him. He said, right, I've had enough of that. You know, you're out. And this is the actual photograph that we took just after that council chamber meeting, and just after Chris Hierro let down the entire group.
Dancing the sword dance again, so perhaps it will actually be danced on the... Our next group on is the Academic Folk Ensemble from Bulgaria. Now this group...
So now it's our last night, and this is another reason why I regret that I didn't do a video. It's our last night and we had the party. We had the party, we all contributed. I contributed to the party. I gave Ben a lot of money. He never gave me the change. You know, I'm not complaining about that. You know, buy the crisps, buy the twiggles, whatever you need for the party. You know, I don't mind. But we got to the party. As soon as we got there, all the crisps and the twiggles, everything that we had, you know, we paid for, everyone contributed. Well, when I say everybody, I'm talking about just the Lira Greek dancers. They all contributed, and they all went in like 10 seconds. You know. But anyway, it was a very nice party. It started off, you know, we did a few Greek Cypriot dances, and then I got up to do, well, I did this American dance, and I'm dancing with Vasily. It's an American dance. You come in and you act, you know, you got your partner and you come through and everyone's shouting and you know, and you do, and Vasily's was giving it this and that, and I didn't know. It's not my kind of thing. I'm sort of looking at Vasily here and I'm sort of saying, I don't want to do this. You know, you come out, you're in front of everybody, and everybody's waving and cheering and this and that, and you do your flash little walk sort of thing. We've only got one photograph to show you, and it's Vasily's. Thank God they didn't photograph me. This is the only photograph we've got of it. And then I did it once, and I said, and everyone, even everyone outside, he says, Andrea, give it something. Give it something. What am I going to give? You know, give it something. So I'm looking at Vasily, I said, I'm not going to let her down. I said, so I went out again and embarrassed myself again, and I'm sort of thinking, if it was the other way around, Vasily Gill wouldn't even care. He would just say, right, I'm not doing this. But Mr. Nice Guy, have to show myself up. It wasn't one of my dances. That was by the Americans. So everyone tried everyone else's cultural dance. There was another dance, it was very similar to Migria Eleni, and everyone was so impressed that I actually picked up one of their dances, and I was giving it this and that. Everyone was clapping and cheering. Well done, Andrea, you picked up their dance straight away. Not so clever actually. The Migria Eleni, at the end you kick your leg once and you click your leg twice. All I realised was you just click your leg once. You know, it was as simple as that. So straight away I could actually get their dance. Really got into that dance. Then we have Sodiri in the group. He started getting chatty with one of the Bulgarian girls. And they're talking, and I'm talking to Laura, and I'm sort of dubbing, I'm dubbing what they're saying, and Laura's laughing aloud. I'm sort of saying things like, yeah, we got a dormitory, yeah, there is a spare bed there, and yeah, if you got any time, it was all this kind of stuff. Laura was really laughing her head off. But yeah, apparently, I won't go into too much of the story, but he invited her around for England and everything, and she was also saying that, you know, you've got to come to Bulgaria, as is the group, the Lira Greek dancers, to come and do a dance there. Blah, 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 chatty. In the end, she actually came round to Sodiri's house and stayed there for weeks. You know, and Sodiri never got sod all out of it, you know. Well, that's what he told us anyway, and as he was really, yeah, if then, you know, and you know, you got to watch these Eastern Europeans, you know. It's just, you know, you open the front door just, you know, 2 inches, you know, 5 minutes later they've taken over your whole house. So I'm dancing with the Turks. They're very nice people, actually, the Turks. You know, they gave everybody, as I said before, this sort of necklace with a little eye. You know, Chris Hierro said to me, you know, you should be ashamed of yourself accepting gifts from Turks and dancing with Turks. I can understand, you know, there's always the grievance and this and that and that and this, you know, I can understand that, but, you know, we're just dancing. I actually really enjoy dancing with them, but, yeah, old Chris was saying to me, you know, my then Andrebese and all this kind of stuff, and you know, you dance with sort of, you know, this and that, and, Yeah, and I even made a joke in the magazine where you dance with the Puerto Ricos, and the Jets, all those boys are going to come out after me and give me a beating round the back of some dark alley. So the party finished about 2. Very nice party. There was even singing. Everyone did their cultural performances and everything. Even Mihaly did his dacha. I mean, that must have bored everybody to tears. Really put everyone to sleep. So had to put his dacha in. And party finished about 2, and that mad woman came up and she said to us, she says to me and Pavlina, "I'm going to pick up a 17-year-old boy if it kills me." I sort of think, I'm looking at Pavlina and I said, where is there a 17? There's never a 17-year-old around, when you need one. Apparently, later on we found out there was a 17-year-old Turkish boy that she was after. And Lula tells me that not only was she after him, she was after her as well. So one of the organisers of the group, nice classic little finish there, says, well, she never made a pass at me, but, she made a pass at, I don't know if she eventually got that 70-year-old or maybe, if Lula was interested. But, well, you can actually say that the whole party ended up with a complete swing. So it's the last day and it's really horrible weather. Wet, windy, you name it. Remember, we're at Sidmouth. We had days where it was a nice sunny weather, on the beach and everything. You could walk down the beach. That's what I wanted to do on that day. We didn't have much to do. We couldn't. Had to stay in. And I got up late. And I look at the clock as I walk into the dinner hall, and it says 9:27, and they finish at 9:30. So I rushed because I was starving. I rushed. Now I didn't want them to say, "Oh no, it's too late, no food." So other people had plans. They did some other things, but we had to stay behind. Well, I talked to Stella and Giriago. And Stella was saying, "Oh, the whole journey's been ruined by all these shenanigans." And I said, "No, I think it's all right. I don't think it was ruined. I don't think it was ruined. Have another look at that photo. How can it be ruined when I got a lovely, great big photograph like that without Lula in it?" But all jokes aside, she said everything was ruined, and then Giriago was saying, "Yeah, if Spiro was here, he put his little, his jokes in, and everything would be better, and it'd be more light-hearted." And Stella turned around and said, "No, it wouldn't be better if Spiro was here because she didn't like him." So. And then I said to Stella, "Does she remember the stories a couple of dances back where Mihalis, he started, he wanted to look, he had the wrong shirt. He had the wrong shirt. He thought that someone else had stolen his shirt. And he looks at my shirt and I said, oh my God, if I've got the wrong shirt, I'm in for it now." He looks at everybody now, he says he can't find the shirt. Then he puts his shoes on and it's the wrong size, and he picked up his shoe and he threw it across the room and said, "I've had enough of this." And Lula turned around to him and said, "Well, why don't you ever pack your own stuff and then we wouldn't have this problem?" And Mihalis says, "Well, you never let me," in front of everybody. I thought that was the funniest thing I've ever seen. But yeah, I mean, we could all feel like that, all have these kind of tantrums and everything, and we're not allowed to have them. Lula and Mihaly are allowed to have a tantrum every single time, blow off a bit of steam. Once their steam is blown off, everything, for that far as they're concerned, everything's all hanky-dory, but the whole group is on tenterhooks, if you know what I'm saying, all hypers. It's like, I hope nothing else goes wrong here. So as I said, it was awful weather. The only thing we could do was sit in the hall and watch the Bulgarian group practice. They were really professional in every sense of the word. I mean, they had a warm-up, about half an hour warm-up, and then they did this. The teacher only had 3 words to say: ush, birt, and oosh. I think that's how you pronounce it. Only 3 words, no this and that and that and this, but it went on And you see it here, you can see them in performance here. So Pavlina was saying, you know, that she wouldn't mind a bit of that, and I said, what, do you want to be in the Bulgarian group? I said, no, she wanted to be in a Greek dancing group, you know, the ones that go around the world, they get paid and everything by the government, and they're this, and they're hyper-professional in every sense of the word. And I said to Pavlina, well, I didn't say this, but I said, you've got to be fit, supple, young, you've got to be, you know, everything that probably poor Pavlina isn't. But you know, we all got our dreams. We all got our dreams. Now me as well. You know, he says, well, you know, if I dance for 2 minutes now, you know, I'm out on the floor dead. Let alone, you know, dance for about half an hour with all these vigorous dances. So after watching that performance for hours and hours, at least it passed the time. Everyone came back and we set up the tables to have lunch. And this was the moment that Stella announced that Stella will be leaving. We'll be going back to Greece. We will never see her again. I got really a bit sad and everything, and you know, got a bit emotional. And Chris, he's crying. I said, no, look, I'm not crying. It was a late night. It was a party and everything. No, there's tears. And I said, look. There's something in my eye. There's something in my eye. But actually, I was quite upset that Stella was leaving, and it got a little bit emotional anyway. Then even Chris had to put his oar in. He has to say, you know, I said, look, you know, you accepted that. I told you about the Turks that gave that sort of necklace with that little eye. And he said to me, well, you should be ashamed of yourself. Not only did you dance with them, you actually accepted this little eye that they gave you. He didn't accept it. They tried to give it to him and he didn't accept it. And I said, well, you know, and it got a bit on. And Nigel came to my defense, and well, first of all, I didn't just dance with the Turkish group. I danced with the Kurdish group. So it sort of balanced things out. Well, Nigel turned round and said, I taught this Turkish girl to dance Greek dancing. So in the end, everything all balanced out and it was all well and good. As I said, it was all emotional, and Lula gives Stella the present. No notes on actually what the present was, but Thegla went over, had a look at the present, then went over to Pavlina, sort of whispered, you know, I said, what's going on? The present's not that bad. It's all whispers and shenanigans. I don't know what kind of present it was. Maybe something inappropriate to actually mention here, but you know, it was very emotional, and it was very sad to see Stella go.
Evening on Wednesday night, the Steps and Strings evening, featuring the Natalie McMaster Band.
So the last moment, Josephine says, well, Lula's got upset about something again. I said, well, that crazy woman and everything, you know, it's a good match for Lula, I said. Then we got dressed into Pontic. We did our Pontic dances. Those were the last dances that we did on stage. I read a little bit in the thing. There was not really much on that. It's just that I felt that Antibaska was played a little bit silent. I lost my balance here and there. Apparently I made a lot of noise, you know, when you move in Serenica. Yeah, I don't think it was, you know, that Pontic dance when you give it a warrior look and everything. I looked to the side of me and said, well, Chris was totally silent and everything. But then Pavlina says to me, well, not just to me, to everybody, move up a little bit, move up, get into the centre of the stage. This is the kind of thing that we should already know. We should be professional dancers to actually get the composition of the stage so that you're in the right place. You're not too far to the right, too far to the left. This is why I felt that we were totally unprofessional in Sidmouth, considering that that's the kind of place that is very prestigious, and you know, the best dancers are there. You see the other groups and everything. You've seen the Turkish group, you've seen the Bulgarians and the Estonians and groups like this especially. They're totally professional, and you can just see that we were a little bit lapsed. there were dancers in there that you know, you've got to hold yourself as a dancer. Nigo doesn't really hold himself as a dancer. There's a few others. I don't want to mention any names or anything like that, but you know, even if you can't dance, hold yourself as a dancer, and at least you can pass it off as a reasonable dancer. But the last performance we did was on stage. Lula thanked us all, and straight away we were off. So on the way back, Thegla wanted to go the same way that she came. I asked Krista, well, what's the problem with all this? And Krista, I mean, we were in the car. We must have been driving back for at least, I don't know how far it is from Sidmouth, is like Devon and everything. I know that is quite a long drive, and Christos explained it to me, but at the beginning, you know, I just wasn't listening to him. He said, no, I'm not going to explain it to you. I'm not going to explain it to you again. But what it was is, Thegla wanted to go back that way because there's no speed cameras on the M4, M5. But Christos knew a shorter way, so we went on that. We talked to Anna the musician. She was saying that, you know, all the money that she got paid to play at Lira and everything covered her expenses. I don't know if there's an issue there. For instance, you know, if you're a musician and everything, you should be actually paid something, and a few expenses here and there maybe should be paid for you. I don't know. Maybe there's an issue there. I don't know.
Rather than you. And not according to the legend. All right.
So in the end, we said goodbye to everybody. End of the year, so I said, see you next year. Chris Hierro said, see you literally next year, because he's going to take a whole month. He's going to take a whole term off. You know, he's just Chris Hierro, or Chris Hierro. He has to take a term off because, you know, it was all a little bit too much for him. As I said, you know, I went back. I helped take all the baggage off the car at Lula's house. That's when I really gave Stella, I told her a proper goodbye. Nice big hug and everything. And then she starts reading the card. She started reading the card that everyone put sort of nice little anecdotes and everything. You know, have a good luck, you know, be happy and all this kind of stuff. And Chris Hierro just put goodbye. So I thought that was quite quaint and direct and to the point. You know, just on the card, you know, goodbye. You know, good riddance, and you know, so who cares if we don't ever see you again?
Just decoration. This is another one. This is a completely different one.
So that was it. That's the conclusion of Sidmouth. As I said, I wish I had the camera there. A bit more of an insight into what was going on and everything. I'd have forgotten most of that stuff. The only thing I can say is maybe we were a little bit unprofessional compared to the other groups, but it's a good entry, a good CV on Mihali's little CV, for instance. So if he ever wants to join another group, he can say, yeah, you know, not only have I danced at Eisteddfod and places like that, big competition, I've also danced at Sidmouth as well. So he doesn't have to go through the beginner's process like everyone has to do when they come to Lira. But it had everything. This had tantrum, it had emotion, it had conflict, it had bigotry, it had people missing from photos. I think that's the only good thing, that there were some people missing from some photos. You know, it just sort of enhanced the photographs, didn't it? But it was a sad farewell to Stella. We virtually started together. We started together with Ezzy, and there was another girl called Maria and Aligi. We were all, you know, in the beginners class. We were all together and everything. And it was a sad farewell. Stella is the niece of the dance teacher. It was a sad farewell, but in the end, Sidmouth was actually a really good excursion. And I hope you get an insight into it. I will leave you with some other scenes from Sidmouth. I hope you all watch and enjoy, and I'll see you all another time.